Hey there, Megan Jansen with Employee Wellness Solutions Network. I'm still on a year-long mission to talk to as many influencers as I can in the space of employee and corporate leadership, wellness, and health promotion. Today is no different. I have the privilege of tracking down a very, very busy lady, Allison Graham, aka Resiliency Ninja. You're also an author and you're an amazing keynote speaker, and it's my pleasure to have a chat with you about your passion.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. And of course, I love chatting with you as anything, and this topic is my favorite. So
awesome. So we've got some really great, exciting things to get into here. Allison, you help teams really master everyday resilience. I mean, you are thought of and known as the Resiliency Ninja. So I know a loaded question, but Resiliency Ninja, why do you mention that? And two, how does resiliency really work into this team work and team dynamic that you are so passionate about?
Well, I think, first of all, it's that all of us are facing challenges in our home lives, and then we come to work and we have, what I call the stack of all the issues that get in the way of us performing optimally. And that stack can rob people of being able to, not go on burnout. Like, we have unprecedented rates of stress leave and burnout, and leaders are frustrated because their teams are demoralized or they're complaining a lot. All of that, the solution to it is mastering everyday resilience. And I like to say, like a resiliency ninja. And the concept of resiliency ninja came to me in my own life, when I was really struggling personally, and I was showing up for my clients and working with Fortune 500 companies and putting on the brave face, and then coming home and collapsing because I was in so much pain. And, my doctor said, you have a choice. Like, you either have to go on disability, and he told me, reevaluate your expectations for your life, or you need to figure out how to be resilient. Mm-hmm. And I had this image of, I felt like I was walking to the party, like, all calm, cool, collected. And then, like, in the back alley, it was like, like,
yeah.
Yeah. And, whether it was grief at times, or injuries, or my chronic pain, or the surgeries, or just a lack of self-confidence and understanding of how do I actually be productive with a shorter amount of capacity. And so that's what I believe a resiliency ninja is. Someone who is committed to really mastering the art of everyday resilience, because resilience is not something that we figure out and then all of a sudden every workday is perfect and we don't have any obstacles or challenges or bad habits. We have to keep putting it at the forefront. Every day we have to recommit to not allowing the challenges we face to impact our results. And without the foundational expertise of everyday resilience, that's what happens. Projects get stalled. People go on stress relief, they burn out, they are just not happy coming to work. And that hurts morale, and it hurts our mental health and wellness. And so that's why I'm so passionate about it, because I know what it can do for teams.
So if we were to take that then to the workplace, so let's talk about workplace, and how can you lower, first being aware of unhealthy stresses, but lower some of those unhealthy stresses, and also come up with some ways to really own and be more self-aware of really what's going on. Any suggestions on that?
For sure. Well, actually, the first step in the Resiliency Ninja formula is self-awareness, because often we don't even know that we're creating our own drama or, challenges that don't need to be stressful. We tend to bucket everything in the word stress, and in truth, obstacles are just obstacles. And when we misplace emotion or add negative story to them, we create unnecessary and unhealthy stress. And so a lot of the Resiliency Ninja work is interrupting that pattern. For example, travel. we all know that, people will say to me, travel is very stressful. Well, in actual fact, travel is a series of obstacles that need to be overcome. And ever since travel started, those obstacles have existed. Lost luggage, delayed flights, crabby people, whatever the case may be around you. It's up to us to choose how we respond to that. And when we get all emotional about the fact that our flight is canceled or is delayed, we are creating extra stress that is not necessary because it's just a thing that's happening. So when we look at that in the workplace, if a customer contract goes wrong or something, we don't need to emotionally react to it. Because the more caught up in the complaining about it and the judgment of it and whose fault is this and the blame and all those things that create a culture, all it does is it robs us of our solution finding time. And so when we can interrupt that, notice the patterns first of all, and then look at our languaging and our approach when something goes wrong. And that often starts at the leadership level. I was with a team a couple of weeks ago, just 15 of them, and the concept that a contract for their team could go wrong, like something in the work, and it didn't have to create fireworks and anger and people walking on eggshells and bad days, was absolutely foreign to them. They were like, oh, so we could just deal with the issue and not have all the drama around it. Yes, you could.
Yeah.
Get into that, right? But we get into these patterns and it makes a workday harder.
It almost exasperates some of the issues that do kind of cross our paths. And it's funny, you mention that, is because you can also sometimes be in a room and you can kind of see or feel the energy of people who are kind of who are resilient and who can kind of look through or past some of these challenges. And then you probably see in that same group of people that just hold on to it and start to worry and think about things that may or may not ever come true. So it's almost, being, I think, also self-aware of what you can control and what you can't control. Is that part of it as well?
100%. Absolutely. And another habit I like to encourage people to get into is the options of 3. So I'm going through a renovation. It's not been a great experience until recently when I got some really great professionals in to help me. And my designer, it turned out what happened was the wrong tiles got ordered. And so my designer was really upset because they'd already been installed and there was nothing we can do. And it kind of escalated from there. And I said, okay, you know what? This is just an obstacle. Let's just look at what our options are. So first, best case scenario, we could do this. Second case scenario, we could do this. And third case, we could potentially do this. And I even had a fourth thrown in there. But that thinking, she immediately went, oh, okay. Because we often get so fixated on one solution, one way to drive to work, one way to do this operation. And if we can build the habit in the small times, constantly challenging ourselves, what are different ways that I could do this? How could we solve this in a different way? It doesn't mean you have to use any of the other ways. But then when change comes or, there are some new obstacles, you've already been building those resiliency muscles so that you're flexible enough and creative enough to constantly looking at, there isn't only one solution here. So let's find the best one.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, I was just going to say, so choosing the options of 3, like getting that habit is really impactful.
I think that's helpful. And it gives people that allowance to think there's more than one answer to this specific issue. Talking about change, you mentioned change and navigating change. And change is so hard for so many people. How do you speak to teams about that? Healthy navigation of change. Is there such a thing?
Sure there is. And, I think sometimes we have to accept that the human instinct is wants comfort and wants familiar. And so it's okay to resist the change the key to being a resiliency ninja is recognizing that pattern ASAP and being willing to interrupt that. Like, often when things are changing, we try to skate over the importance of it often and not feel and grieve the way it used to be, right? Like, it's almost like we're not allowed to be upset about the way it was. Like, we're losing that. So I think validation is hugely valuable. And I encourage teams to actually look at, okay, when we change this separate conversation, let's talk about where we are now and how we're feeling about losing what's in the past. Then we can move on. But until we process that, we really can't move on. And then the next thing is really getting into that habit of creative thinking and problem solving. And so that's where the options are 3. If we do it in the little stuff, we can apply it to the big stuff. And the third key, I believe, to navigating change with the everyday resilience model is that we do not consume our time with complaining, judgment, blame, worry. Like, worry is a down payment on a problem you may never have. And people are spending their time, especially in times of change. I love it when a company calls me and says, so we brought in this new technology and people really don't like it. Right? And it's often because they're so worried about what the implications are, or worried about how hard it's going to be to learn, that they're not spending the time learning it. And that's where the everyday resilience message is really critical, because it interrupts those patterns that are sucking our capacity, right? They're stacking on top of each other and then leaving us just a little window to work with of capacity. And what I want to do is compress that stack so we don't worry as much. We don't judge as much. We don't complain as much. To expect us to get rid of it completely is not honoring human nature.
Yeah. And that's an important message, is that it's never going to be gone forever. And I think some is important. It's healthy, it keeps us on our toes. I could talk to you all day long, but as we tie up, are there any final thoughts that you'd like to share and add to this discussion?
I think that the answer is not for companies to add one more thing. They need to figure out how to compress the stack first. Because the next technology, the next communication strategy, the next marketing strategy is never going to make the difference for your business that you want, unless you can take these habits that are capacity suckers for your team, like worry, judgment, self-doubt, complaining, all of that. If we don't mitigate and sort of compress that, the impact that has, all the other initiatives won't make a difference.
Love it. Awesome. Great messaging. Thank you. Thank you so much for your insights, your wisdom, and best of luck with all you're doing. You're a busy lady.
Thank you so much.